Welcome back. Chapter 29. There was a storage basement below the ground level of the factory where they had suits handcuffed and locked in a metal cage. "What are you?" I asked as I approached him. "Like I told them, I'm just an average Joe. I have no idea what you people are talking about," is what he said. But his stare was saying something altogether different. With his eyes, he was greeting me as a long lost friend. I needed to get this guy alone. If I didn't, and he talked, I might be the one that ended up dead. The looming gang of bandits hovering at my back could be deadly for both of us. I motioned Faye over to the far end of the very long room. "I want to talk to him alone." "Why?" "Because he's more likely to talk to me without you guys hovering. Looking like you're going to strike him dead at any moment. I'm a single woman. I might be able to get him to let his guard down." "No." He crossed his arms and it didn't look good, but I'd known it would be a fight. "Do you want to get this guy or not?" I saw the way he looked at you. I started to swallow, but I forced myself to keep a calm demeanor. I imagined that fate was an angry judge and I was in the courtroom trying a losing case. If you can read Soup that well, you know he won't talk. He'll die first, but he'll talk to me. Calm. Keep your calm. 5 minutes, and you tell me everything. Fine. And he stays in the cage. I nodded. He turned and ushered everyone out. They were disgruntled, but they followed him up the stairs. As soon as I heard the door close, I turned back to Soup. I got too close to the cage, but I didn't want to chance anybody overhearing our conversation. "Who are you? And before you answer, know that I'm your only shot at living, because if you haven't figured it out, there isn't a single person upstairs that doesn't have blood on their hands, and none of them seem to mind." It was all lies, except for the blood on their hands, which might have been true. It didn't bother me a bit, though. This was the person who robbed me of my life and left my parents childless. He was better off being fed to the guys who just left in with me. "If you want to live, you'll let me out." His voice was so low I barely heard it. "And why is that?" I couldn't wait to hear his explanation. "Because you belong with us, Camilla." His lips turned up just slightly at the corners. "Were you always a bullshitter, or did you put a lot of practice into this?" My words didn't match the hitch I felt in my throat. I needed to find out why he'd been stalking me before anyone else did. "That train wreck, that was all for you." He clearly wanted to tell me everything, so I let him. But I had a sinking, horrible feeling I wasn't going to be happy once I knew. "Go ahead, let's hear the rest." I wished my feelings matched my bravado. Inside, I was a panicked mess. What was this guy talking about? "I know all about you, but you already know that, don't you? You remember me. I can see it in your eyes. You know something's wrong. And if you don't get me out of here, so will they." He glanced at the door and then back at me to make sure I knew exactly who he meant. "You're off your rocker, buddy, because there's nothing to know about me." "What about Edgar Ranbury?" I grabbed the cage bar in front of me as I remembered Edgar. He'd been one of the first cases that I really made a name as an up-and-comer with. Edgar had been charged with assault with a deadly weapon. The case had been a slam dunk. Edgar had been guilty as sin. I didn't do anything. I just tried his case. I did my job. Even as I spoke, I wasn't sure I believed myself, not with what I knew now. I remember the jury selection for his trial. I'd always been able to sense the people that I could twist to my needs. I knew the buttons to push, and even if it walked the line a bit, I always did it. I thought back to Charlie. I'd done it with him, somehow molding his will to mine. He would have married me even though he was in love with another woman, simply because I wanted it, and would have somehow dragged him down the path with me. Edgar was your first, but wasn't your last. I wasn't trying to murder you. I was trying to recruit you. I wonder what your friends will think about that. Do you imagine they'll still be welcoming? I was trained to stand in front of a jury and be prepared for whatever was thrown at me from prosecution, from the prosecution. I wasn't just good on my feet, I was fantastic. And here I was, mouth too dry to speak and a cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. I wanted this man in the cage dead. I didn't want to help him escape, but I didn't think I had a choice. Not if I wanted to make sure I lived as well. They already said they'd kill me if I leaked their secrets. What would happen if they thought I was being recruited? I couldn't see a way out of this. If Suit talked and they believed him, they might kill me. He would eventually, I didn't doubt the lengths fate would go to for answers. But if I got him out, maybe I could buy myself enough time. They'd be suspicious, but it would be better than him telling them I was playing for the wrong team. Unless I killed him. I wanted him dead. I didn't know if I could take him one on one, but what if I stalled and came back with a gun? Could I shoot him like this? He couldn't run. It would be shooting a fish in a tank. But he was slime. Even still, he wasn't killing anyone. There was no one here to defend or protect. It would be cold-blooded murder, and I just didn't have it in me. Maybe if I hung around here for another century, I'd be the kind of person who could, but that changed nothing for me right now. If I get you out, I want you to swear you'll never approach me again in any life from this point forward. Done. I knew the keys to open the cage were down here. I seen Lars leave them on the hook across the room. They dangled there like a beacon to escape. I grabbed them before I could second guess myself and let him out, cursing my weakness the whole time. I scanned the cement walls for some exit, but I knew I wasn't going to find one. I had to cause distraction upstairs so he could slip out. And in that space of 2 seconds, when I turned my back on him, his arm looped over my head and he had his forearm pressed against my neck. What are you doing? I can't leave you behind. I had only one choice left, or the only one I maybe truly wanted. I grabbed the metal pen I had in my pocket. I grabbed it on my way out of the hotel because I thought I might need it to make notes of what I saw. I felt for the point and fisted it in my hand. With surprising ease, I violently jerked my arm back. I knew I hit my target. I didn't need to see the blood squirting in my peripheral vision to tell me. My aim had been uncanny. And unlike in my mortal life, I knew it wasn't just luck anymore. Without seeing what I was doing, I managed to stab him in the jugular. His wrists still handcuffed together, I was pulled back with him, knocking over a chair and clattering some other things with us. We fell to the floor, me lying on top of him facing the ceilings. What are you getting me into? I murmured out loud, having a funny feeling that it would be heard by my intended target, not the dying man below me. I heard the rush of people running through the door, fate in the lead. He was on me before I had a chance to extricate myself. Are you okay? I was covered in Suit's blood, and I wished at that moment I could claim an injury. I'm fine, it's his blood. I crawled out of Suit's embrace and got to my feet. My victim was lying on the ground with a pin sticking out of his neck. I didn't need to be a defense attorney to know that this looked bad, really bad. He wasn't moving and his blood was oozing out, not spurting to the rhythm of a heart. He was definitely dead. She killed him, Cuddy yelled. He lunged for me, but fate stepped quickly between us, making a human shield between me and the man. Back off, fate said. She screwed us. Cuddy was pointing in my direction. She knew we needed him alive. There's something wrong with her. She let him out. All four men that faced in my direction had varied degrees of distrust written on their faces. That's a gigantic leap, Cuddy. She's not with them, Fate argued. How do we know? This is a problem, Lars said, staring at me in a very unsettling way. I would have put him at the lower end of distrust scale a minute ago. Clean this up and get rid of him. I'll handle her, Fate said. He pushed me in front of him, always maintaining a buffer between me and the guys. I hustled up the stairs quickly, happily putting distance between me and the men down there. I knew a lost cause when I saw one, and they all looked like they wanted to kill me, and not like, let's ponder the thought and get around to it next week, but rip my limbs off and use my bones for some broth. I didn't have a guarantee that fate didn't want the same thing, but handle her didn't sound anything like kill her. I could be grasping for semantics, but fate was my best bet right now. He pushed me toward the door, another good sign. If he wanted to kill me, he'd probably do it here, and he defended me. I didn't know what to even think of that. I took a shot and decided to head toward the car I stashed further back, but he grabbed my arm and pushed me towards him. I didn't argue or fight. It was time to do damage control. Keep everything calm until I was out of this situation. He grabbed a towel from his truck and laid it on the passenger seat, obviously looking to avoid the blood stains. I guess you have this problem regularly. The words slipped out before I thought better of it. Get in. I shut up. This wasn't about playing nice. I was in pure self-preservation mode. I'd messed up badly, and I knew it. What happened? He asked after he started driving. I was trying to get answers. I wanted him to think I was on his side and I was going to get him out, so he talked. Then he attacked me. You know that story is ridiculous. He shot me a look that dared me to deny it. It's what happened. I mean, he did dare me. Everyone has their limits. Plus, I certainly wasn't going to come clean. I couldn't. He had towels in the back of the car for soaping up blood, and I wasn't sure how much the universe liked me. Was it I'm head over heels for you, or more of a passing fancy without any real commitment? Did I want to find out while fate was choking the life from me that the universe had found a new favorite? I could just imagine trying to explain to fate how I, someone whose position is supposed to handle karma, has saved criminals that would have been sent to jail so that I could build a name for myself. It seems so much worse now, but it hadn't then. I never really thought it was me. Yeah, I knew I could be convincing, but I didn't realize I'd been actually swaying them beyond what was natural. Hell, I still didn't know how I'd even done it exactly. I used to think as a judge, I would make a difference and it would all be worth it. I'd rationalized it away right up until Suit had just tried to recruit me. What kind of monster was that a mass murderer wanted me on his team? I was in the rank of someone like Maxwell. If I were human, what would I have looked like? I lifted a hand to my skin as if I could feel the pus already. Do you know how long I've been trying to get a lead on this guy? He punched the dashboard of the SUV. I've never seen him this upset. I shivered, and he probably thought it was something to do with him. It didn't. I shrugged off the image of my face covered in cracks, at least for now. I couldn't change or fix what I'd become if I didn't make it out of this predicament. From the moment you showed up, you've been nothing but a walking disaster. Cuddy is right. There's something wrong here. And then I'm forced to defend you when I know it too. I'm sorry, but threatening to kill someone doesn't inspire confidence. But the more he talked, the more I realized he never would have done it. You take nothing seriously, but that you decide to listen to. How many times have you heard someone say that? You said it with a very scary tone. You think this is funny? That's it. That it's a joke you thought I'd kill you? I could see how much it insulted him. I didn't know what to say, and the way he was looking at me made me feel like a worm squirming around. How could I explain that? For some reason, I went stupid around him. I miscused. That I knew that I knew it wasn't funny, but I didn't know how to take it back. He pulled up to the front of our hotel but didn't shut off the car. I don't get you. I don't understand why everything doesn't work right where you're concerned. I don't want to know. Just get your ass to Harold's office and leave when your date is up. He leaned over me and pushed the car door open. Now get out. He sat back and looked away from me. I'm covered in blood. I can't walk through the hotel lobby like this. You'll get by somehow, I'm sure. I grabbed the towel with me and watched as he sped off. Not the best way to leave things, but I would be leaving. My murderer was dead. There wouldn't be any heartfelt goodbyes, but I wouldn't remember any of this. I was glad. And that's the end of chapter 29. Stay tuned for the next chapter.